Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to go over something that has fascinated me for years and I love because I feel like I'm a history nerd, is why are there so many abandoned mansions in upstate New York? So we have to kind of do like the history of this first. I feel like is in the late 1800s, early 1900s, upstate New York kind of had a boom with the railroads, the canals, the industries, the old money that kind of came up from the city area. So they would build like their part-time homes, like summer homes, or their full-time homes sometimes. And they would do that from like the Hudson Valley, Albany, Utica, Syracuse, kind of along that path of like central New York and upstate New York, downstate, whatever you want to call it. Because I feel like there's always a dispute on what part you call that for New York. But just those areas. It's kind of like an L that goes up through New York. Think industrial tycoons, textile magnates, sugar heirs, kind of like the guy who built our home. They were the richest of the rich people at the time, and having land and multiple homes was obviously, even today, is a sign of wealth and legacy, and that's what people wanted and they strive for, especially in that time period. Unfortunately, this didn't last long. We know one of the great economic downturns as the Great Depression, and then after World War II, people lost a lot of their money. Especially the ultra wealthy, they lost a lot of their money after the Great Depression and World War II. At the same time, cities like Syracuse, Utica, Albany, the industrial jobs, the places where things were booming in the Industrial Revolution era, was dwindling. The jobs were being lost and the populations declined. The wealthy class kind of either moved away or faded away because they lost their wealth. These bigger homes, which is no surprise to anybody, are very hard to maintain. They took a whole staff sometimes, and during this time period it was just too much money. People didn't have the money to maintain these very large, like stately homes, I guess, like in the UK, that you would really say like the stately homes, the manor homes. That's kind of what these are, and they didn't have the money to maintain them anymore. Some were sold to schools, churches, nursing homes, and some of them were just left abandoned. You have to think, if one of these very large homes like ours were sitting for a decade or more, the damage that's being caused to these homes, and then they were already expensive to maintain, and now you have to try and fix half the house and maintain it at the same time. People just couldn't do that at that moment in time. Now, these homes are still here all across New York, and I know this is a lot for the Northeast as well, but again, I'm just talking about upstate New York. A lot of these homes are still here. Some of them are being restored, like ours, so you will have someone who will come in and they will say, I want to save this home as much as possible, and they will do that. Some of them have been chopped up into apartments, so a lot of the very larger homes, they'll make like 4 or 5 apartments in them and then rent those out. That's a majority of what you see, because investors are able to get their money back by renting out the smaller apartments in these larger homes. Actually, that's what happened with our home. Our home was chopped up into about 6 different apartments, and an investor had come in, they had done that, and then they were getting the money that way. Unfortunately, they did destroy some of the original architecture of the building. Thankfully, not a lot, but like some other homes, they're almost unrecognizable with how much they have been chopped up throughout the years. Some of them are still abandoned and they're crumbling, and there's nobody there to save them because there is this huge boom to buy new and not restore older homes. In my opinion, nothing compares to an older home. I feel like the structure of it, the building materials of it are just so much better in an older home, in my opinion. I understand why some people don't want to take on these older homes. It is a lot. I think it's a labor of love, and you truly have to love the place that you're fixing. But I do feel like a little bit of sadness every single time I see a house that is just rotting away. It literally breaks a little bit of my heart. I know that I said that this is mainly upstate New York, but I do want to say, a lot of people don't know, but Long Island actually had the most dense population of mansions, I believe, on the East Coast. And they were stunning. they're almost down to like single digits now because they have been torn down and more apartments and that kind of stuff and, you know, buildings and stuff have been replaced with them, which is so sad because some of the older photos, if you look back, some of the older photos of these homes, they are spectacular, like actual works of art, and it kills me that they're gone. But I think that if you take the time to own an older home and put your love and care into one of these homes, I think that it is so special because you're literally preserving history in your own little way and you don't even know it sometimes. I feel like people just think, oh, well, I have an older home because that's all that's around me. Yeah, but you're also preserving history, and that is cool. Whenever you pass one of these older homes, just know that it wasn't just abandoned. There was a story that went behind it, and there was a tragic story of, you know, economic loss and industry and money and migration and families who sometimes lived through it. Like the second family that owned this home after the Jeffreys was the Pratt family, and they lived here for 6 decades before they had sold it. So their family went through generations here, and their story is something that is also, you know, a part of this history. And we are a part of the history now that we are on that little timeline of this home. And I think that that's magical. Anyways, I know this is just kind of like a blabber video. Probably doesn't really make any sense. I'm gonna like watch this back and be like, what are you talking about? But I just wanted to take a second and talk to you guys about this. I kind of like nerded out a little bit. It was a subject that I think is really cool because a lot of people down south have a lot of newer built homes, where up north in like the Northeast, the like original 13 colonies type area, like they're like all of our homes tend to be very old. Like newer builds are not as common up here compared to like down south or out west. So I just think it's cool because I feel like people don't really know that that is a huge part of us in the Northeast. Anyways, if you like this kind of crazy talk and you want to be a part of more of these videos, please make sure that you subscribe. I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.